I think we should have nothing but compassion for the type of person that you described who thinks that their best chance of happiness in life is to have these procedures, right? I mean, so like, I mean, I know a couple of people personally who have had the sex reassignment procedures and then detransitioned. And so I know one guy who he's now in his 80s. And when he was in his 50s, he transitioned and lived as a woman for 8 years. And he went to like the best doctor in the United States at the time, who told him, "Yep, you're a woman trapped in a man's body. Like this is what you need." Imagine feeling so much distress and
Yeah.
discomfort and anxiety in your own body that you would allow a surgeon to remove, some of your most intimate bodily parts to refashion you. And then imagine, 8 years later when you realize
Oh my
it had
gosh.
nothing to do with
Yeah.
my body. I just wasn't getting the psych. He had a dissociative disorder, and he was not receiving the therapy that he needed. And it was only later in life that he got the therapy that he needed. And now, he's more or less dedicated the rest of his life to helping to prevent this stuff. Right. And so, like, we should have, I think, righteous anger at many of the physicians who are pushing this stuff, especially those who are pushing it on like the very first visit. Now, I disagree with some physicians who I think are conscientious, but conscientiously wrong, who do a much more thorough, treatment protocol, and who they will even say, look, you're not a woman trapped in a man's body. Sex reassignment isn't really possible. We just think this is the best you can hope for given the hands that you've been dealt in life. Right. So there are some physicians who are actually very straightforward with patients to say, look, for whatever reason, you're uncomfortable in your body. We've now tried everything else. None of that has worked. And so, the last gap effort that we can make is to refashion your body to make you more comfortable in it. But that's saying that to a patient is radically different than, oh yeah, you're a woman trapped in a man's body, and the first thing we're going to try to do is to transform you into that woman, right? To let you be your true self. So again, like, I still disagree with the more conscientious physician, but at least they're, much more straightforward. With kids, I just think no child under this, it should not be allowed for an adult to do any of this stuff to someone under the age of 18. Puberty blockers for, non-medically appropriate purposes. There is a medically appropriate purpose.
Precocious puberty. Yeah,
Yes.
precocious puberty.
Fine to use puberty blockers for that. But puberty blockers as an attempt to affirm a misguided gender identity should be prohibited. Cross-sex hormones should be prohibited. Surgical interventions to make me look more like in an ideal world, you really wouldn't allow any of this stuff. But at least we should be able to agree that if you're under the age of 18, like, part of America's adults can make their own decisions, they can make their own mistakes, et cetera, et cetera. But at least if you're a child, you should be protected from having grown-ups make these sort of decisions on your behalf, and then, perpetrate these sorts of things on your body. Huge, huge issue.